Pictures-ը ներկայացնում է երախտագիտության քարտեզ նախագծի երկրորդ ամերիկացի բարի սամարացիները ֆիլմի ազդահոլովակը։ Սա պատմություն է փրկվածների մասին։ Նաև պատմություն այն արտասովոր մարդկանց, որոնց շնորհիվ իսպառ ոչնչացումից փրկվեցին քրիստոնյա ժողովուրդների բեկորներ։ Մարդկային կյանքերի փրկությունն էր նրանց առաքելությունը։
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the lecture house. I'm glad to welcome Benny Morris and Rossini today to speak about the 30 years of genocide.
Between 1894 and 1924, Turkey's Muslim rulers destroyed the Christian communities of Asia Minor, Eastern Thrace, and the Urmia district of Persia, Armenians, Greeks, and Assyrians, in a staggered campaign of mass murder, expulsion, mass rape, and abduction of women and children, and forced conversion to Islam.
Islam, often expressed in jihad, was utilized by the authorities to mobilize the Muslim masses to massacre and plunder.
Is it fair to say that Islam provided like a genocidal backbone?
Reading the thousands of documents that we've read, we were both surprised, I think, by the amount of documents referring to Islam as a motivation, by the perpetrators mainly, but also by the governments who sent them out to kill.
It's a book to be admired. And once I started reading about the Armenian genocide far more specifically than I had ever done before, I became immediately fascinated by it. And I decided to write a book. This is the Library of Congress, which holds, I'm sure, hundreds of thousands of relevant documents.
Now, if we move a little forward, something that when I found, I started, and I knew it was in my hand, I started shaking, and it is a letter of Talat Pasha to Ambassador Morgenthau.
Sargon, within the entire genocidal period, one of the lesser known aspects, that of the Assyrians and their fate, what contact the Assyrian populations may have had with the American missionaries and diplomats and such. So if you could tell us something about that.
The Assyrians, depending on where they were in the Ottoman Empire and those that were split into, on the other side, into Persia, those that were in Harput, for instance, dealt with vastly different missionaries than some in the Urmia region, let's say.
The primary target of the genocide were the Armenians. The Young Turk regime saw the Armenians as a threat and wanted to get rid of them. But then when this genocidal process started and developed, it came to target all the Christian minorities, not only the Armenians. Many Armenians, but also many Assyrians were eliminated through this genocide.
Երբ Մուսլմանն հայ միջես բանը արքայություն չերտար։ Սա 85 զորյան ինստիտուտը Ամերիկայի մեջ over չարտենտեր ազատված էր ողջ էր եկան եւ վիդեոին հայերեն բոլորը մորցա։ Բայց որքան որ մորցա միշտ հայերս չի մորլար։ My grandfather Harutun was a man that was self-taught. He did not get formal education. When he was only about 11 years old, his family was taken away from him. He was left with the locals in the town that he lived in.
The Armenian Missionary Association of America was founded after the genocide, as a result of the genocide, in order to take care of the spiritual and physical needs of the remnants of the genocide, those who survived the genocide.
One of the things that the leaders of Near East Relief did very well was to use a variety of different media to raise awareness across the country, pre-internet, pre-radio, pre-television. They found a way to connect with people and really speak to them on an emotional level. One of the things they did, and this is a time when Hollywood was just really coming into its own.
They went to Hollywood and they found a person who portrayed the character of an orphan, and that was Jackie Coogan, who at the time was one of the most well-known child actors. And so who better to represent the real orphans in Armenia and someone who portrays an orphan on the big screen.
Elizabeth Webb, because she was at the Adana massacres in 1909, so she wrote her memoirs about what happened in Adana. She was one of the few. In fact, she wrote to the US American newspapers about what she saw, the atrocities that she saw.
So there was American representation, ambassadorial and consular, across the Ottoman Empire. They were all witnesses. Many American businessmen, American missionaries, educators. There were many, but there were hundreds of Americans, not to mention other foreigners. And during wartime, the American consulates became points of where they shared this information. And so the entire experience of the Armenian genocide was actually being documented as it was occurring by American officials.
Μετά από εβδομάδες η πόλη φλεγόταν. Ο Άσαντ Τζένιξ συνέχισε να διασώζει Έλληνες από την πόλη. Κατάφερε να δει ακόμη και τον Μουσταφά Κεμάλ, ο οποίος του έθεσε όρους για την εκένωση της πόλης.
Μας ρωτάνε γιατί αγωνιζόμαστε για την αναγνώριση της γενοκτονίας των Ελλήνων του Πόντου, των Ελλήνων της Μικράς Ασίας, των Ασσυρίων και πάνω απ' όλα των Αρμενίων. Και πάνω απ' όλα γιατί θέλουμε μέσα από την αναγνώριση που διεκδικούμε όλοι να πετύχουμε, να σταματήσει η Τουρκία να διαπράττει εγκλήματα γενοκτονίας.